And if you haven't had enough of Tom King's mommy wife Wonder Woman, you might feel differently after issue number 7 with special artist Guillaume March on here replacing Daniel Sampere for just one issue. Once again, Tom King is trying to be Alan Moore, for the man who has everything. Now it's for the Batman who has everything, as we basically see Wonder Woman and Superman go in search of the perfect gift in outer space.
This comic starts with 4 pages of trying to park at the mall. Yay.
Now, the art itself is actually really, really good. Doesn't really fit the tone of the book itself. But I would say he even did Superman a bigger disservice than even Wonder Woman in this comic.
Oh, God. You're basically lampooning DC's number 2 superhero. And I understand you got to kind of poke a little bit of fun and like try to make Clark fun sometimes. But at the same time, this was basically mommy is better and super daddy is a big dum-dum.
I guess we should get started, Doc. But this guy is mad. He claims Wonder Woman took his parking spot. And she says, I've been searching for a space in this hellhole in the sky for seemingly a lifetime. And I have a deep driving primitive urge to tear a monster in two. So please, one more time, call me girl, because he had referred to as girl a couple times. This doesn't feel like with great power comes great responsibility when you decide that you're actually going to murder somebody and rip them in half because they called you a girl, which isn't even like a bad name or anything.
All it was a men are bad and misogynistic thing again. I mean, he might as well have just been calling her female the whole time because we've heard how many times how that's somehow terrible and bad and misogynistic to call a woman female.
I don't know. I imagine when Tom King's mom was working at Warner Brothers, maybe one of the other execs called her a girl once, and he saw her put him in his place. And then maybe we're replaying that situation.
Distinctly possible because mommy is good. And her rage is justified because he was, I guess, marginally misogynistic.
So I wouldn't say that. He was just mad that she took his parking spot.
Yes, exactly.
People get mad about stuff like that. But you shouldn't put it in a superhero comic book to begin with.
And Tom King tries to make himself relatable by showing how much he hasn't been out in the world and experienced the fact that the American mall is dying.
Murdering somebody just because you have the power to do so because you're a little bit angry at them, even though they're really not doing anything wrong, probably is an improper use of your great power.
Not very super heroic, Diana, to threaten to murder people because they are upset about you taking a parking spot. Jesus Christ, Tom, you wasted a third of the goddamn comic on this.
There is a worse moment, perhaps the worst moment of the entire comic book. Superman and Wonder Woman are sitting down. They're trying to decide what to get Batman for his birthday. This is what Superman says. All right, what about like a time travel thing where we can go back, see his mother and father for a day or something? There's a store here that does that. It's by the place where I get Lois her jeans, because that was really funny. Wonder Woman says, no, he travels in time like this. He is going to mope because he has to relive the loss of his parents. I would like a gift where he does not mope. Superman says, yeah, you're right. We should make his birthday special. Do something he doesn't do every other day of the year. Like, are you fucking kidding me? His parents were murdered in front of him, and they're acting like, who gives a fuck? He's a mopey bitch.
He mopes all the time. That's all Batman does. He's just a big moper, and we need to make him smile. That's the joke. That's the joke in this entire fucking book.
This is the kind of joke you would have seen in The Big Bang Theory after season 2 or 3, where they made Sheldon no longer just kind of antisocial and weird. They made him into like a straight up like Asperger's kind of guy, where he was just a fucking asshole 24/7.
It's showing how unrelatable they are as people.
Well, it's weird because Superman and Wonder Woman in the DC Comics universe are literally like the epitomes of compassion within the universe itself.
No, Tom King has to make Batman's a sad boy because his mommy died.
I think it would have been over the line if Batman showed up and shoved a chunk of kryptonite into Clark's chest, but I wouldn't have blamed him for it. Fuck that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's weird within the comic book itself is I do think Tom King is trying to or have some fun with some of the concepts within comic books that if you think about them too hard, they kind of fall in on themselves. You know, and you have to have that suspension of disbelief or whatever to be able to buy into a lot of this stuff. It just comes off as really stupid and spotlighting why Mr. Mxyzptlk and how Superman defeats Mxyzptlk, is kind of laughable. And I didn't think that was completely effective. More effective than the other jokes. We have another one where Superman explains that Batman is completely broke now. He's living in an apartment with somebody. Maybe we can make diamonds out of coal. Wow, are you telling me that Superman could help all these like poor homeless kids by making diamonds with his bare hands? Why would you want to point that out to me? And then we have probably the biggest, I don't know if it's the biggest sin, the stupidest part of storytelling. We do have Wonder Woman and Superman in the same room and they're talking to each other basically the entire time. Wonder Woman is fighting basically solo against the entire United States government led by the Sovereign and Amanda Waller. Yep. Superman is not helping her. He has not tried to intervene on behalf of Wonder Woman or the Amazons or any of that stuff. Doesn't make sense whatsoever because they're friends and it's completely established here. And so they start talking about it and she's like, well, it's an Amazon problem. As if that's the reason that Superman wouldn't come in and intervene and try to help out one of his friends when something bad is happening to her.
I don't feel like any of the people that write these comics have friends. When your friend is obviously struggling, even if you respect them and think that they can still take care of the problem themselves, you do what you can. Regardless, you might not try to overstep too far, but you still at least stand there and try to help.
But also within the framework of the story itself, we've seen Wonder Woman solo take out an entire brigade of army troops, likely murdering a lot of them in the process. She was throwing tanks around and hitting people with them. We saw another guy kill himself and blame it on Wonder Woman. Superman is supposed to be about truth, justice, and the American way. Why wouldn't he intervene on that? There are Americans losing their lives. There are poor service members that are dying, and it's being blamed on Wonder Woman, and he wouldn't step up and make sure that maybe that wasn't the case?
Yeah, exactly. You've undermined your own story. It doesn't make any sense after that.
The next thing, we'll start to wrap this stuff up, which is some of the really bad storytelling in here. Because Superman is done pretty dirty throughout this entire thing. A lot of people have said, well, I want a Tom King Superman series. I was like, are you out of your fucking mind? I don't care if Up in the Sky or whatever that book that he wrote for the Walmart $10 specials was supposedly good. He does not like this character. He thinks Superman, because he's from the Midwest, because he's a country boy, is a fucking bumpkin. He thinks he's an idiot. So the entire time that he's looking for presents, it's like, doesn't matter where you go, there's always a Christmas store. We could get him, a fucking Christmas tree for his birthday, or maybe we'll get him weights that he can't lift and would clearly murder him because he's not able to lift this up. Or maybe we'll get him cats. And one of them's like, well, he likes cats, but not those kind of cats, which was a nice tongue-in-cheek kind of sexual reference there. And it just made him look really stupid, like he didn't even know his own friend and really just didn't even care.
The entire point of this entire thing was to shit on Superman for not being as metropolitan, I guess, as Batman.
Well, and also it's just Wonder Woman kind of shitting on him the entire time, telling him how stupid he is.
Well, yeah, that as well.
It wouldn't be empowering if she didn't shit on him.
Yes, exactly. You can't empower Wonder Woman without tearing down Superman, because none of these people know how to actually empower anybody. They just know how to tear down other people. Building is difficult, destruction's easy.
I will give Guillaume Narch this. I did notice the mannequin with the 3 boobs. I also like Total Recall. Well done, sir.
Yes, exactly. It was that in the maternity store.
You saw it as well.
Yeah, exactly. This whole comic was an attempt at a X-Men baseball issue. Tom King isn't funny. He doesn't have... I don't feel like he's ever actually had friends, because at the end of the day, they decide it has to be a sentimental gift that means something. Can't be anything that's useful for him. It has to be something that just meant something to him. The little 3 or 4 photos on a strip, Clark also decides to crush a piece of coal and turn it into a diamond and put that in the box too. And of course, in Batman fashion, he keeps the photo and hands off the diamond to the orphanage that he wrote.
Well, since Tom King wants me to overthink all these concepts and what they actually mean to the big scheme of things, so they went to another space station out in the middle of fucking nowhere, light years away from Earth, took time away from Superman protecting Earth, took time away from Wonder Woman, I guess, fleeing away or evading the U.S. government or whatever. How much fuel do you think Wonder Woman had to burn just to get to this thing? Probably not good for the environment. Yep. And they ended up taking something from a photo booth that they could have done anywhere on the planet Earth, in 5 minutes time. and ended up, people probably died because Superman wasn't there. Since we're supposed to be thinking about all the little plot holes within superheroes and shit, Tom King, you made Superman and Wonder Woman look like idiots.
And the fact that apparently shopping on this place in order to get everywhere and look at all the stores takes millennia. So good job. At the end of the day, you bring a Batman a gift, a birthday present, like a couple of weeks late.
This is the comic for the writer that doesn't have a clue on what made Alan Moore. So you get Wonder Woman #7. It's maybe the best issue of Wonder Woman so far, but it's so bad with the characterization. At least it just wasn't completely stupid from beginning to end. There were a couple of scenes that weren't completely terrible, but this entire series is just an absolute shit show.
Well, I mean, and at least there was some decent art in this. Gam March was pretty good. I liked it. I have no complaints other than the fact that he made Superman look kind of dumb. And the thing where they got fucking pedicures together.
Yeah. Well, remember, Superman got a manicure, but Wonder Woman didn't, because she said, do I look like the kind of woman that would get a manicure as Superman is getting his cuticles done?
Now, they did try to less bitchify this by saying, well, it's the only place that has the hardware to actually cut my nails. I used to just bite them, but my dad said that was crude. So now I have to come out here to get my nails trimmed. And while we're here, let's get pedicures.
It's just so stupid. Like, do not think about what Superman does with his fingernails and his toenails. Do not think about how he cuts his hair. Because once you start thinking about these things, and then the comics universe kind of starts falling apart. Once you think about these things too hard, like Dan Slott said, once you start thinking about where's he going to park the Batmobile, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You just kind of got to go with it and realize he's found a way to do his nails. Tom King had to throw it in here just because he thought it would be funny, I guess, but it doesn't really work.
Yes, suspension of disbelief only works whenever you don't undermine the disbelief that you have to suspend. They spent an entire issue here undermining the disbelief that you have to suspend.
I will give this comic book on a 10-star scale. I'll give it a 3 because I do think the art in some places was very, very good.
I'm going to go with 3.5, 3. That's fine. The art was fine. It was, other than this couple of goofy shots of Clark that were designed to make him look like a bumpkin. The rest of it, it was just bad. It was just them trying for the 400th time to be Alan Moore and failing.
Yeah, I don't think he achieved it on this one, but I imagine Tom King will keep trying. Hopefully he's very successful with James Gunn and the DCU and Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, and he ends up getting to put all of his focus on movies, and he forgets comic books and puts them in the rear view. I know a lot of people would appreciate that one. Now, Doc, you and I obviously reviewed this one. There's an uncensored review right now on Thinking Critical Patreon. There's also an uncensored discussion about the response to the Marvel Comics Pride Allies month variant covers and all that good stuff. If you are not on the Patreon, we've also got a Q&A coming up tomorrow. What is that going to be, like a couple hours?
Yeah, it's going to be like 2.5 hours, depending on how many questions we get. And you guys get to ask whatever you want. Just send Wes the questions, and then we'll answer it every time. It's kind of great.